Okay, I'm assuming everyone has had time to join, so a very big welcome, everyone, and thank you for giving up your time to be with us today. It's good to see a number of you that have joined us, so thank you. This is the third webinar to explain and review the proposals for the future of Huguenot House. We wanted to make it as easy as possible for people to safely engage with us. So there are a lot of different ways people can engage, including online, phone and post, as well as today's webinar. So just some housekeeping before we begin. This session is being recorded and we will put the recording on our website for people to watch later. Today we'll be presenting the options for Huguenot House for about 30 minutes and then stop to give you the opportunity to ask your questions for around 15 minutes. We will try to keep to time. The project team will answer these questions at the end, and in addition to our panelists, some of our wider team are also here and can jump in to help anything that's more technical at a later time. Please feel free to ask questions throughout the webinar using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. These questions will be anonymous and other participants will not be able to see them. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can during the Q&A. If we can't answer all the questions in the time, we will review all the questions after this session and put a regularly updated question and answer on the website. If you want to ask questions about your personal circumstances, we would be pleased to have a one-to-one session with you. Please just call or email us to arrange this. If we head to the next slide, I'll introduce you to the team that you will meet over the course of the presentation. So myself, chairing the session today, Claire Nangle, Senior Client, Corporate Property. Hi there, Claire. Darren Essex, Senior Development Manager. Morning, Darren.
Good morning.
And Miles Lee, Lead Architect at Allies & Morrison. So good morning, Miles.
Morning.
So that's the team, now they'll be presenting some of the slides in today's presentation, and I'll now hand over to Claire, who will give you some background on our consultation. Claire.
Thank you, Kevin, and welcome to everybody here. Thank you very much for giving up your time to hear what we've got to say. As Kevin said, my name's Claire Nangle. I'm from the Corporate Property team, Senior Clients, and I'm here because Corporate Property manage Huguenot House, and it's one of a number of investment properties that we own and manage. Corporate Property, therefore, is responsible for the building and implementing the decisions that the council makes about it. The council has been consulting on various options for the building for some time, as this timeline shows. And the latest consultation started in 2017 and included a number of consultation events. Since then, we've met with residents and collected and considered the feedback in great detail. And we've also had feedback from members of the wider community and from colleagues within the council. More recently, we've undertaken a detailed review of the previous options presented to you. Next slide, please. So today we're presenting you with the previous options which have been updated and a new redevelopment option. Because we did not conclude the previous consultation exercise started in 2017, we cannot take any of those previous options off the table. And we really appreciate that this results in a lot of information to take in. But the documents that we've sent you, these webinars, and the offer of one-to-one meetings are designed to ensure that residents are fully able to participate and comment along with the wider community. So this latest round of consultation will mean that the consultation started in 2017 will be completed. It concludes with the council agreeing a preferred way forward early next year. But please let me reassure you, the council has not got a preferred way forward now All options are on the table, and we want to hear from you before we determine the preferred way forward. Next slide, please. So what's changed and why have we updated the options? Well, essentially because a lot of the key contextual aspects have changed. This includes changes to building regulations and changes to planning policies, but it also includes changes to council strategies, such as the new City for All plan, which has some really ambitious environmental targets. We've also taken into account the social and economic changes, and in particular the impact of COVID and what that means for demand for office accommodation and other commercial uses in particular. Next slide, please. So in order to decide what the best option is, we've drawn up some key priorities for Huguenot House, and they're listed on this slide. So quality homes that meet modern standards. This is about space standards and also the ability of residents to adapt homes in the future should that be required. Opportunity and employment. This is about long-term opportunities, but we're also seeking to deliver employment and training opportunities throughout the life of the project. Environmental sustainability. The Council's City for All the Council's City for All plan prioritises tackling the climate emergency, and in corporate property we're very actively working to reduce the carbon footprint of all of our buildings. Preserving and enhancing the local community. We've assessed whether each option is of benefit to the existing community, whether it enables people to continue to enjoy the local area, and whether it enables future growth. And finally, financial viability. It's worth repeating that Huguenot House is a council investment property, so the income received enables the council to support frontline service delivery. So it's important that the options deliver value for money and are a good use of public money. So as the team run through each of the options, they will outline how each of the options performs against these key priorities. The assessment priorities reflect previous feedback from residents, and in particular the aim to preserve and enhance the local community. So this is a lot to take in, so we've posted more detail about this on the website and in the consultation booklet, but again please contact us if you would like us to phone you and go through these on a one-to-one basis. We really want to hear from you. Thank you. That's all from me now. I'm going to hand back to Kevin to talk through the first three options. Thanks, Kevin.
Okay, thanks very much, Claire. That's very helpful. So the first option that we have here is maintenance, and this option refers to a 30-year maintenance plan designed to keep the building up to standard. In the immediate term, this means repairing windows, the rendering and roof. We would also replace one of the lifts and the water tank. Over a longer period of time, we would repair the facade. We'd also replace windows, the heating, electrical and fire alarm systems, as well as the second lift. This option would involve charging leaseholders for the work, which we estimate may come to charges between £25,000 and £45,000. However, this option doesn't address the underuse of the car park or the condition of the commercial parts of building, which are not performing well at the moment. It also won't improve the environmental performance of the building, meaning it won't be substantially more energy efficient. It does mean, however, that residents could stay in their homes during the works and is less disruptive when compared to the other options. It also means that the building would be improved for residents and would be brought in line with modern health and safety standards. Next slide, please. The next option is refurbishment. Refurbishment means doing everything I've just described for maintenance, but also making more significant improvements over a shorter period of time. Refurbishment would include replacement of both lifts, a new roof, new windows and facade, new heating and electrical systems, and improvement to shared spaces. Leaseholders would also be able to opt in and pay for new kitchens and bathrooms if they wanted to. A lot of the limitations of refurbishment are the same as maintenance, in that the performance of the commercial spaces is not addressed properly, and the building would continue to be energy inefficient, although minor improvements could be achieved. That said, it would give us the opportunity to refurbish the offices to meet a more modern standard, and the works would create some jobs in the area for the short term. It would see the building improve for existing residents who could return after moving out for a short period to allow for the works to take place. Next slide, please. This is a fairly straightforward option. We could sell the building. However, this is not in line with our usual practice, as we try to retain and optimise all council assets. This is part of our commitment to achieving value for money for all our residents. We have also been advised that though this option is viable in the sense that we might make some money from the sale, we're unlikely to attract a lot of buyers given the current market and the condition of the property. Most importantly though, we have no way of knowing what a potential buyer might do with the building, which means we cannot really assess the impact on residents or measure this option accurately against our key priorities. I'll now hand over to Darren to run through the remaining refreshed options. Thank you, Darren.
Thank you, Kevin. The next option is to convert the existing offices to homes. After we spoke with residents in 2017 and 2018, we were asked to explore an option where we kept the residential part of the building as it is and converted the offices into new homes. When we refreshed the options this year, we noted that the current regulations meant that we would need to ensure that the entire building, including the residential part, was modernised and brought into line in line with these new building regulations. Therefore, this option now includes refurbishment. This option delivers 10 new homes, half of which would be affordable. It would also see the building improved for existing residents in the same way that was outlined by Kevin under the refurbishment option. Leaseholders would be charged for the maintenance part of these works in line with the terms of their leases. It should be noted that residents would need to move out due to the scope of the works, but could return to their own homes afterwards. These works would create jobs in the construction sector, although the loss of office space would mean that businesses located in the building would have to move. Keeping the building also limits the improvements that we can make to energy efficiency. The next option. This option is to retain and extend the existing building. This is otherwise known as the 2004 Podium Scheme. This option was first proposed in 2004 as part of a planning application, and at the request of residents in 2017, it was added to this consultation. This would see the building partially redeveloped, with the podium and car park partially replaced to provide 14 new homes. Half of these would be affordable. Again, we would need to refurbish the whole building as part of the planning conditions for partial redevelopment. Leaseholders would be charged for the maintenance part of these refurbishment works in line with the terms of their lease. As a result, the current building would be improved for existing residents. Residents would need to move out temporarily due to the works, but would be able to return to their homes afterwards. Retaining the building limits what improvements we can make to its energy efficiency, and some construction jobs would be created by the works. The next option, this is a redevelopment option that was presented to you previously in 2017-2018 as part of the consultation. This is also known as option 4A star. This option is very similar to when we presented it to you previously. It has been updated slightly to meet current policy changes. For example, half of the housing would now be affordable. It would deliver around 50 homes, a cinema, 75 car parking spaces, and 4 shops. Out of all these options, this provides the most new homes. These would all be bigger than those currently in the building and would provide private balconies. They would also be adaptable for residents with disabilities and would meet all modern standards. We could also make significant improvements to the building to improve its energy performance, making a contribution to our goal to become carbon neutral. All existing residents would have to move out during redevelopment, and as part of this, resident leaseholders and secure tenants would both be supported to return to the new building if they wanted to. Although this option does not fully address the underuse of the car park, it does deliver a new cinema and shops and would bring economic activity to the area. The construction would take around 2 years to complete and would create a large number of jobs and apprenticeships. I'll now hand over to Miles to talk you through the new redevelopment option.
Thanks, Darren. When the council began assessing the options and considering local feedback, they undertook new market research, and this took account of changing social and economic content since 2018. Based on this research, they asked us to design a new redevelopment option, which might be more appropriate for the area. The market research clearly indicated that demand was higher for hotel and leisure uses than it was for offices and shops. Next slide, please. The new option will deliver 24 new homes, of which 50% will be affordable, a hotel, a cinema, and a casino. Whilst this option won't deliver as many homes as there are currently on site, the council will support secure tenants and residents who want to return to a new home on site. All the new homes will be bigger, they will meet modern space standards with private balconies, and they'll be fully adaptable for residents with disabilities. The commercial elements best meet the economic demands in the area and therefore bring job opportunities. This is the only option which addresses the underuse of the basement car park. The building will target the very highest in environmental standards, significantly reducing the carbon footprint, and this will also mean cheaper energy bills for residents. The construction programme, which we have estimated will take at least 3 years, would also generate jobs and apprenticeships for the local area. I'll now hand you back to Kevin.
Okay, thank you very much, Miles. Well, in terms of next steps, the consultation runs until the 15th of January. And after that, we'll review all the feedback received and take a decision to decide which option to proceed with. You can expect to hear from us early next year with a decision and more information on what happens next. Next slide, please. So this is the Q&A session. Over the next 15 minutes or so, we'll now ask some of your questions to the project team. We have had questions come in when speaking to people on the phone and email, so we will add these in also. If we're unable to get to your question, please do email it to us at huguenothouse@westminster.gov.uk and we'll endeavour to reply. We will also collate all the questions together with the answers and put a frequently asked questions document on our website. Okay, so let's have a look at the first question, and the first question is to Claire, and the question is, why does Huguenot House have to change at all? Claire.
For many reasons. I think for people who are living there will recognise that there are significant repairs to windows that we're planning, which you're managing, Kevin, and we're engaging over that. But so there's issues around that, but also quite critically, the car park is significantly underperforming. Most levels are mothballed. The office accommodation is underperforming. So as the building is an investment property, we do need to look at the significant issues that arise from it in a number of aspects. So doing nothing is not an option, and I'm sure the residents Huguenot would agree with that.
Okay, thank you very much, Claire. The next question is for me, actually, and it says, why are you consulting now during COVID? Well, Claire very clearly outlined the consultation that has been happening for some time, for the last few years. That consultation does need to be extended, and it's a very, very stressful time, we understand, for yourselves, and we're obliged to continue that, and we felt as though we couldn't delay the consultation, and that's why we're consulting during COVID. And of course, we've allowed as many opportunities for you to contact us, to engage with us as possible during this time. And we've also undertaken a number of other consultations of a similar type during the period successfully. So let's have a look at the next question. Why has consultation, a way forward, taken so long? So why has consultation or a way forward taken so long? Well, I think we did explain in the correspondence that we took time to step back and review certainly the redevelopment option, which we felt could be improved. And we also explained in correspondence that there had been a change in the team and people that were working on the project. So those are the two main reasons for the delay. The next question is also for me. Why did you not scrap the original consultation and start again? I sort of touched slightly on that, given the time that's elapsed, given the feedback that we received, which was, we did have some detailed feedback, and we were also given advice that consultation was actually still ongoing. So we did extend it, and we did not put a line under it. The options that have been created and updated are still very much in line with the discussions that we had previously. So that's all very useful information and very good information that we can feed in to our decision process. The next question, how will you make sure we can engage even though we can't meet in person? And again, that's for me. I'm touching on some of these as I talk through. We've given you all the options to be able to get in touch with us. So post, email. I've had a number of individual webinar sessions with people, and we've actually contacted them to make sure that they can get onto Zoom and give an instruction previously, and people that aren't familiar with the system have been given support. So we feel as though we've given every opportunity for people to engage, either through these webinars or on an individual basis on individual circumstance. The next question is also for me. Why are you still consulting on the original 6 options? Well, the original 6 options were some time ago, a couple of years ago. So as you know, we have refreshed them. Again, we were given advice that we still needed to consult on those, because of course the comments that you made were based on those options. So we were unable to take those off the table, and there are subtle differences which Claire has alluded to in the presentation. So we've kept those on the table so that they're available for you to comment on. The next question is for Claire, and it says, you told residents option 4A star was your preferred in 2018. Why isn't it anymore?
I think we've moved on, and as you said, Kevin, there's been changes to the team. There's been a chance for the new team to reflect as well,
yeah.
And consider the feedback in great detail. and that's been quite a lengthy process, because a lot of the feedback was very detailed. And there's also the current situation that we find ourselves in with COVID, understanding what the potential short, medium and long-term implications of that might be. And also reflecting on the council's refreshed priorities in the shape of the City for All plan, and in particular the environmental targets which we signed up to. So there's been a lot of change since 2017, and things have moved on, and we need to reflect the new reality, the new circumstances that we're in. Okay,
thanks very much, Claire. There's another question for me which says, why will you not meet face to face with residents? I've already outlined the ways in which you can contact us, but unfortunately the latest lockdown and social distancing measures do not allow face-to-face meetings, and that is included in Tier 2 as we come out of lockdown after tomorrow. So the safety of residents and our staff obviously is a key priority, and we're confident that our consultation approach in the way that I've outlined gives every opportunity for residents to engage with us safely. We're not holding face-to-face meetings, as I've said, but however, if guidance changes and the situation changes and it's safe to do so, then of course we will have face-to-face meetings. Okay, the next question is to Claire. When will the council buy flats in Huguenot House if leaseholders wanted to sell?
The short answer is we haven't agreed a preferred way forward, so it's not possible to answer that question now, because the council's offer to purchase would only be applicable to some of the options on the table. So if we are in that position in the future, we would contact individual leaseholders, but we're some way away from that decision, because we don't have a preferred way forward yet.
Okay, thank you, Claire. There's just another question, Claire, whilst you're on the line there. The next question is, will leaseholders know if they will be offered market value plus an incentive to sell?
I mean, again, I'm going to really kick that answer fully until after we've got a preferred way forward. It feels really premature, and the short answer is we don't know yet. Okay. We haven't agreed the preferred way forward. But when we do, whatever the preferred way forward is, we want to continue our engagement with residents and local people, because this isn't the end of consultation. This is the beginning of a journey, whatever journey that turns out to be.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, thank you, Claire. The next question is for Darren, and the question is, how does the council determine market value?
Thank you, Kevin. Well, subject to what Claire was just saying, the council has a diverse professional team that includes Gerald Eve, who are chartered surveyors, and the method for determining market value is as set down by the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question is for Claire, and it says, many of the options require tenants to move out. Will the council compensate the loss of rental income for non-resident leaseholders?
We'd have to talk to the non-resident leaseholders on an individual basis. Should that situation arise, what I would say is that the obligation, the requirement for residents to move out in certain circumstances is not going to be quick. Yeah. The processes take time. Consultation takes time. And I want to reassure residents who are watching this that when we agree the preferred way forward in early next year, that's not going to be in any sense immediately followed by a requirement to move out, should that preferred way forward rely on that. It's a fairly lengthy process, and a lot of support would be would be given, very practical support as well, if
Yeah.
required. But in terms of the non-resident leaseholders, that's something that we would really have to discuss with people on a one-to-one basis, rather than, you know, giving a generic answer, because everybody's circumstances are very different.
Yeah, okay. Thanks very much, Claire. The next question sort of follows on from that, which I can pick up. It says, will the council provide alternative place for tenants to live whilst works are being carried out? Well, of course, we've got 7 options on the table, so it depends on the option. But in terms of tenants, the council has an obligation, and we would make sure that we provide alternative accommodation as close to Huguenot House as possible for tenants. In terms of leaseholders, that, you know, again, it depends on the option. You know, for maintenance, for refurbishment, there would be no ability for us to offer that. And the periods may be short. The program for refurbishment hasn't been agreed, if that was a decision about the preferred way forward. So we would know more closer to the time. But in terms of redevelopment, then yes, we would support both tenants and leaseholders in terms of alternative accommodation. And as previously discussed, there would also be a right to return if that was the preferred option that was chosen after this consultation. Okay, the next question is for Darren, and it says, what regulations have changed? What is the new market research and changing social and economic context since 2018? So quite a simple question there, Darren. Quite a long one, I'm afraid.
Thank you.
So do you want to pick out some of the bits from that? Can you help us there?
Of course, I'm not sure if that's 2 or 3 questions in one.
It's a few, isn't it? I think.
Thank you. So one at a time. So the first part of that, in terms of the building regulations, the details of that are available on our website. So I'd advise anybody who's interested to go to the dedicated website for Huguenot House, and then you can look at those and see how the different options have been assessed in relation to those. Then in respect of market research, so as I mentioned earlier, we have Gerald Eve as part of our professional team, and so they look at the potential uses, residential and commercial uses for the site, and advise us on demand and value levels and space requirements and the like, in order to determine the best use of the site. And then, of course, the rest of the professional team have to look at the technical aspects of how those fit in. So it's not just market research that determines how the site can be accommodated or the existing building amended in order to accommodate requirements. And then the social and economic context. So since the last consultation, a number of things have happened. For example, Britain has entered the transition period to leave the European Union. Obviously, there's been COVID, and we've had a new government as well. So there've been a large, that's just a few things, but the markets are changing one thing or another. So I hope that gives you some of those answers.
Great, thank you very much, Darren. The next question I can pick up. It says, can it be confirmed that there will be no changes to the tenancy or lease agreements across all resident types? Well, again, it depends on the option chosen. All options are on the table, and it will depend. Clearly, if people are moving out and going back to the same accommodation, so in terms of refurbishment, then nothing will change. If the option of redevelopment is chosen, then particularly a new flat, new property, then those lease agreements may change. It's a different flat, different arrangement, different floor area, etc. In terms of tenants, they will retain if they have a secure tenancy, they will retain their secure tenancy. So hopefully that answers the question. The next question is also for me. So why are leaseholders' costs the same for many options, and how have the leaseholder charges been estimated? Well, two questions there. So in terms of the costs and why are they the same, the costs are determined by the lease, and the lease is the most important document. And so what it says in the lease is what we can do, and that's our relationship. And what it says in the lease is that only costs for maintenance can be charged, and that includes major works. So that will be the same for maintenance, the same for refurbishment. So that is why the maintenance costs haven't changed, because of the conditions within the lease. In terms of the estimation of costs, our multidisciplinary team involving technical and cost estimators have estimated the total cost of each option, and then your managing agent Aston Rose have been given those details, and they have looked at the costs and apportioned those in accordance with the lease, and that's where we get the range of £25,000 to £45,000. Okay, the next question is for Darren. How will you manage disruption during any construction period? Obviously, that depends on the option chosen, but if it was an option with construction, how would you manage the disruption?
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. I guess even refurbishment involves construction works. So there will need to be a management plan, construction management plan for the preferred way forward, whichever option is pursued. Okay,
thank you. And Miles, you've had a good rest, so this is a question for you. So what do you mean by high environmental standards, Miles?
Well, we will look at, for the residential, we'll be looking at things like passive house. For the office space, we'll be looking at things like BREEAM excellence. So we'll want to make sure that the fabric of the building retains energy, retains heat, and we'll want to think about energy supply and whether we can use any renewable energy sources. So throughout the whole of the building, we're targeting very high sustainability standards.
Okay, thank you, Miles. The next question is also for you, and it says, would the build of any of these options be carbon neutral?
Our target will be to design a building that is carbon neutral in use, and we will also evaluate if it involves taking the building down, whether or not we can reuse part of the frame, or whether or not we can recycle part of the original building. So we'll be looking at all those things, but yes, we'll be targeting zero carbon in use. Okay,
thank you. Darren, a question for you again. Why do you need residents to move for the two partial redevelopment options?
Thank you, Kevin. Well, the health and safety of residents and occupiers, general public, is obviously foremost for the council, and so due to the extensive scope of the works, including things like replacing the walls, the external walls, the advice we've received is that residents would need to move out.
Okay, thanks, Dan. The next question is for Claire, and the question is, you're suggesting opening a hotel in your new option, but there is one just next door. Why do you think another one is necessary so nearby? Is there also really a demand for a casino here?
Yes, the market research that was carried out has demonstrated that the hotel sector generally in London is underserved. So although there's a new hotel adjacent, our professional advisors report that there is good demand still for hotel. And in relation to the casino, also demand for that. This is central London. This is, a big entertainment centre, arguably for the country, not just London. So we think that there will be demand for that, potentially that use as well, if that option is pursued.
Okay, thank you, Claire.
Thank you.
Another question for Darren. Fairly short question. It says, would this project include any improvement to the public realm?
Thank you, Kevin. So all depends on which option is chosen. So if there is a redevelopment option chosen, then the council, as any other developer, would need to make a contribution towards public realm works. Where those are invested is not down to a decision for relating to this project in particular.
Okay, thank you. The next question is for me. Can the council guarantee residents would be able to stay in the area if they have to move? I guess there isn't a guarantee. What we can say is that we would use our best endeavours. We would do as much as we possibly could to keep residents close to Huguenot House, but it obviously does depend on what's available at the time. The next question is, how is refurbishment different than maintenance? And I hinted at that in the presentation, but the essence is that the refurbishment would look to renew items, and it would be looking to renew those in the short term. So it would be a period of 18 months, whereas of course the maintenance option is a gradual renewal, gradual repair and replacement over a much longer period of time. The next question is for Darren, and it's what evidence is there that the car park is underused?
Thank you, Kevin. So the council liaises with the car park operator on a regular basis, as they are a tenant of the council, and so they have provided us with usage data for the car park. Unfortunately, large parts of the car park are not used and are closed off or mothballed at the moment.
Okay, thanks, Darren. Claire, another question for you. Why is the council prioritising homes? Why isn't the council prioritising homes for this site?
The council's got a huge and very exciting, ambitious residential programme, which is managed by the development team. There are significant numbers of new homes being managed by that team. So the council does prioritise housing generally, and increasing affordable housing supplies is a key priority. In relation to this particular building, it's a mixed-use building at the moment. Some of the proposals for redevelopment, in fact all of them, keep that. It's a mixed-use building. Residential is retained. And in fact, the actual square footage in some cases increases. So we think that the balance of uses in a variety of the options is balanced and appropriate, and still retains a good level of homes in central London.
Okay, thanks, Claire. There was a follow-up question, Claire. Sorry to bring you back. That was very quick too. Why did you decide to include a new option?
Firstly, we were legally obliged. We received legal advice that we needed to. But secondly, I think that the team would have anyway, irrespective of that, because things have moved on since 2017. Fresh pairs of eyes have looked at it. Market research has given us some new insights. So for those two critical reasons.
Okay, thanks very much, Claire. Question for you, Darren. For each option, how long would residents and commercial tenants need to move out for?
Thank you, Kevin. So not all options require residents to move out, but obviously the council is minimising disruption for residents and commercial occupiers. And so then once a preferred way forward is determined, we'll liaise and engage with occupiers in order to determine the programme for them to move out if required.
Okay, thanks very much. So the last question, that's for Claire. You have the honour, Claire, of the last question. Are there any circumstances under which the council would sell the building?
All of the options are on the table, and they will all be treated equally when we assess them. I think, as you pointed out, Kevin, it's not necessarily completely in line with council priorities. There would be circumstances, which is why the option is still on the table, but they're probably more limited than not. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks very much, Claire. Okay, so the next slide then, please. And this just gives you contact information on the last slide. This ends the question and answer session here, but of course, you know, questions and answers can be asked and given over the length of the consultation period. So thanks for attending today, and to the project team for presenting. Thank you, project team. And you know, if we didn't get round to your answering your questions, and you've got more questions, please email us, phone us, or send us a letter. I hope that you found the session informative and helpful, and hope to speak to you soon. Thanks for taking the time to attend, and I hope you have a good day. Thank you.